Hi and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to take a look at OnShape. It's a 3D CAD package and we're continuing the series of Learn CAD. I appreciate that not many people have sat through the boredom that is 2D CAD, but I'm not going to go over any of that stuff here, so we can get straight into the meat and two veg of 3D CAD. Now, why OnShape? Well, first of all, nobody commented to say they wanted this or Fusion 360, so OnShape it is. It's my choice. OnShape is free. It's browser based, so if you're one of them kind of like weirdos that uses a Mac, apparently you're okay to use this. You can use it on phones and tablets and all sorts of stuff, but I'm going to use it on this rig that I've got. The downside to OnShape being free and browser based is the fact that you have to be connected to the internet to use it. Let's face it, if you're not connected to the internet these days, you live in a hole. Basically, you can't have any private documents when you save things in OnShape. Everything goes into the public forum, which is okay as long as you're not trying to build the next electric car or something. But apart from that, OnShape's fine. So I'm going to jump into the OnShape window and we're going to learn the interface, okay? So this is the OnShape window. After you've logged in, you will need to create an account. Obviously, it's free and they do spam you, but don't worry about that. It's fine. Just set up a rule. You get this screen here. Obviously, when you're a new account, all of these documents that I've sat and spent hours, minutes creating, they won't be there. But on the left-hand side here, you have your document area. You have list documents created by you, and you have the public forum, and you can look down this list at all of the other things that people have created and saved in OnShape. If you can find any of my documents in that public forum, please let us know, because I don't know if I can see them because they're mine. But yeah, so if you see any of these cool things in the list, just let us know. It's nice to know if they're out there. So to create a new document, we're going to call it, you hit this blue create button and we say, strange enough, document. We can give it a name. We're going to call this just a test, if I can spell. And of course it's going to be public. If you hit the private button here, it says the free subscription does not allow private documents. Try OnShape Professional. So we're just going to use public because I don't have an OnShape Professional account. It's expensive. Right, and you get this window, which looks a bit weird. You've got this kind of flat square thing in front of you. Now, the first time I saw this in 3D CAD was about 20 years ago, and it was Pro Engineer, and they used this, and I thought, what is that? That's just weird, and you'll get it in a sec. But yeah, if it appears, it's right. On the left-hand side of the screen over here, I'm pointing with the mouse, not with my finger, is the model tree. What is that? You'll learn about it in a minute. And across the top of the screen are all of the different features and functions that OnShape does. So because we know all about 2D CAD now, well, we can draw lines and circles. We know that we have to have a piece of paper to draw them on, and that's what these things are here. That is a piece of paper, that is another piece of paper. If I just deselect them and select that one, and that is yet another piece of paper. Now, if you look at this cube over on the right hand side, this is your view cube, and it says top, front, and right. And you can click it, and it will turn the display around. So it's pretty nice. It's a nice way to navigate. Let's just jump back to trimetric. So basically, what these are flat planes or pieces of paper, and they're oriented. One of those words. They are 90 degrees to each other, or perpendicular, if you want to use that kind of terminology. And basically, if you look at an object and you're looking at the front of it to draw it, you would draw on the front. If you're looking at the top of it, yeah, you draw on the top. And if you're looking at the right, yeah, you would draw, yeah, okay, I'm not going to go through that anymore. So we need to draw something. Now, 3D CAD works a lot different to 2D CAD, although it's still lines and circles. there's something called the parent-child relationship, which you need to know about. And what that means is that everything that you create is a parent or a child of something else. Now, at the minute, we have 3 planes. So you're going to say to us, but we have no children to these planes. But that means that these planes are the parents. So if I hit sketch, which is another word for draw, it says here, select your sketch plane. And I'm going to say front. And nothing's happened. It just says sketch 1 and that's it. Now, you'll notice across the top it's all changed, and now we have these sketch commands. And yeah, I know, the first one is line, and then we have rectangle, and then we have circle, and then we have arc, which is part of a circle, and polygon, and yeah, you know what's going to happen. But if you look at it, it hasn't changed the view. It's kind of like weird. So if I draw a rectangle, say, the rectangle doesn't look right. It's not straight to the screen. Now, there's a couple of ways we can fix this. You can press the front button on the cube and it'll turn the display around. Or, if we go back, you can just right click somewhere randomly in the screen and say, view normal to sketch plane. They're words, and normal and sketch plane are probably the most important thing. Basically, what that means is look straight at it, and that's fine. So now that we've got our rectangle, I'm just going to get rid of it. And I'm going to go over here to the model tree, and I'm going to click the little eye on top right and front, because let's just turn them off. Now, line works exactly the same way, yeah, you've seen me draw that, as it does in 2D CAD. You can draw lines, and then you can get the control points, and you can draw. Hang on a minute. Why can't... There's something wrong with this line. See, this one, I can drag that point. And this one... what about this one? No. Okay, so 3D sketches... No. 3D CAD sketches. 3D sketches are something different. Let's not go there. They have something called constraints. Now, this wasn't covered in the 2D CAD. So if I point, not click, just point at this line, you'll see this kind of weird line appears. And that's telling you that this line is locked to being vertical. So if you move that point or you move that point, that line is locked to being vertical. If I point at this one, there's a horizontal... Hey, look, there they are. Horizontal and vertical. Hey, that's pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, so that line is horizontal. And if I point at this line, nothing appears, which means I can move this in any way I want. Now, what I can do, if I wanted this line to be horizontal and or vertical, no, it can't be and, it has to be or. If I want this line to be vertical, I just click it and hit the vertical button, and it makes it vertical, and that will always be vertical. But I want it to be horizontal. So click the line, you get a 1 next to the cursor, which is pretty cool to say that you've selected one thing, and then click on the vertical line and press the delete key. That goes away, and now, as you can see, I can make the line anytime I like. Now, there's something else you need to be aware of in 3D CAD as well, right? This is a line. This isn't. That is called a point. A line has the body of the line and a point at each end. That's why when you collect the point, the line, and the point, it says 3 on the cursor, because you've selected 3 things. Now, points can be constrained as well as lines. So if I click that point is constrained to be horizontal, so I can't move it vertically. It's actually constrained to be horizontal with this, which is the origin. Now, the origin isn't super important to us. It is super important to some people, those people who do finite element analysis and get weird kind of like bendy drawings and stuff out of things. They need to know where the origin is. We don't really care, but if you want us to explain what the origin is, if you imagine that on the screen is a grid, the origin point would be referenced to 0. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and this would be 1, 2, 3, and this would be -1, -2, -3, and this would be -1, -2. Now, because the origin is 0 in this plane, it means it's also 0. Just turn these back on temporarily. In the other planes, and as you can probably see, where the planes converge, that means cross. That's where the origin is. Right, enough talk about origin. We don't need to know about it. So, I'm going to delete this, and we're going to get into the features. Features are, just close the sketch, are these things. So we have an extrude, a revolve, a sweep, a loft, a thicken. They're not features. Well, they are. A fillet, a chamfer. Yeah, it's all sounding very familiar, isn't it? So what we need to do, excuse me, is build a sketch, then build a feature on that sketch. And that's how 3D CAD works. You sketch, you create a feature. You sketch, you create a feature. And the sketches and the features become linked to each other. Now, the easiest way for us to demonstrate this is to model something. And over the last week, I had a catastrophic failure on one of my 3D printers, and one of the heat breaks broke. Heat breaks broke? Yeah, that'll do. And I have to get a new one. Well, I have to manufacture a new one, and to manufacture a new one, I need to draw it. So I'm going to draw it, and what I've done is I took a few minutes in DraftSight and did a 2D drawing of it. It's on my other screen here, so if you see me look across, that's what I'm doing. I'll put a little caption in, or an overlay of it now, so you can see what it looks like. Yeah, if you imagine it's round, it's a bit of a tube with a 2mm hole down the center, and everything else is revolved around it. So what this video is going to be, it's going to be me literally, right, get that out of the way now. Yeah, it's going to be me modeling that part into Wiz, and I'm going to use extrudes, and I'm going to use a revolve. So this video is purely going to be extrudes and revolves with sketches and parent-child relationships. Okay, so let's get into it. I'll stop talking technical shizzle, and we'll get into this. So we need to start with a sketch, and I want to sketch on the front plane. I want to right click, and I want to make that normal to there. I want to then turn off these planes because I don't want to see them anymore. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my origin the extreme right hand side of the drawing. As usual, I'll have a copy of the drawing on Dropbox somewhere. So what we would do is we would start off by drawing a circle. No, I got that wrong. I'm in the extreme left hand side of the drawing, obviously. And I'm going to draw a circle, and I'm just going to drag it in, and I'm going to click. Right. Now, the difference with 3D CAD to 2D CAD is, in 2D CAD, you would already have told the CAD system what the diameter of the circle is for the circle to appear. The clever ones amongst you have already noticed this. In 3D CAD, you can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. And then you have to put a dimension on. Where's the dimension button? There it is. So we draw sketches and then we dimension in 3D CAD. In 2D CAD, to draw the part, you need to know the dimensions. So that's coming in at 73mm, and we want 5.75. So there we go. Now, as usual, roll the mouse to zoom, click the mouse button to pan, and hold down the right mouse button to rotate the screen. The screen's just gone nuts. Bring it back to normal. So this is our first sketch. Complicated, isn't it? It's a circle. It's 5.75. If you check out the drawing, you'll see where I am. I'm on the extreme left-hand side. So I'm going to close that sketch by clicking the green arrow, the green tick. Now we need to extrude it. So extrude, and it says, what do you want to do? There's a bunch of options here. There's new, add, remove, intersect. Don't worry about it. We have to have new because there's nothing else in the model. And I'm going to choose solid over surface. I'll get into that later. And it says select faces and sketches for regions to extrude. So that means click your circle. Now if I turn it, you can see that it's extruded, and it's extruded the depth of 25. Now I can change that to 10 and click, and it'll do. Or I can grab this arrow and move it. But on my drawing, I know that it's going to be 8. And I'm going to click this tick, and there we are. So we've created a cylinder. Nice. Boring, isn't it? Yeah, right. So what we need to do now is we need another sketch on this face now. Okay, let's do that, and let's normal. Oh, and the origin's magically in the center. So let's draw another circle there, and let's put a dimension on that. And that one is 3 diameter, and let's okay and extrude, and this is how it goes. This is basically how this part's going to go. That's 3 thick. And as you can see, if I look at it on the extreme, whoa, that was big. If I look at it on the extreme left, you can now see we've got the 2 features in. Now, this way of modeling is called layer caking. I don't know why I do. It's like building a cake. I don't like that term. This is just creating it out of extrudes. Basically, we're just going to extrude every single layer. We can sketch on here, and we can normal to sketch. We can make the circle bigger. It doesn't have to be smaller than the sketch. This one is, where's the dimension button gone? There it is. This one is 10. You can see now, once we got the first extrude in there, that when I drag the sketch circles out, they're almost at the right size because everything is scaling correctly. No, I don't want to sketch, I want to extrude. Now this one's going to be quite interesting because, as you can see, it's picked up 2 sketch elements here, and we now have a hole in the middle. So to get rid of that, we have to click 2 items. So you might get caught out by that. If you only click the inner item, you'll get that. You have to click the outer item as well, don't forget. And that is too thick. Okay, let's just rattle these off. This one's going to be a little different. You don't necessarily have to orientate the view every time. If you just point at something for a while and then move to its center point, you can pick that up. Right, and then so you don't have to keep rotating the view to be square on. What's that? That is 6, and that distance is going to be extrude. That's going to be, now this is quite cool because we can do, it's 4 plus 2 plus 8, which is 14, obviously maths, but we can click in this box and we can do 4 plus 2 plus 8, and it actually puts it in as the calculation in brackets, which is pretty nice. I quite like that. Oh, and there's a 5 on the end of it as well. What an idiot. Get rid of that. Plus 5. Oh, I've got to take that bracket off. There we go. Right. So that's our part. Hang on, it doesn't look right. Oh yeah, I've got to put a hole in the middle, of course. So that's pretty much as far as we can get with extruding solids. So what I want to do now is I want to put a 2mm hole up the center of it. And I'm going to start at this end. You can do it either way. I'm going to start at this end. So I'm going to sketch on that face. And I'm going to draw a circle. I'm going to make that circle 2mm in diameter. And then I'm going to choose extrude, and I'm going to click that. That's not a hole. Why is that? Right, let's just drag that way. That's still okay. So what we need to do now is, as you can see, we have new add, remove, and intersect, and it's trying to add whatever we created here. It's trying to add it as material, and we want to remove it. So we hit remove, and now we have a hole. Now what we can also do is, instead of having this to say 36.8mm or whatever we would drag this to, we can change this from being blind, which means we need to give a dimension, to through all. Now the dimension thing has now disappeared, and what that will do is that will just extrude that circle all the way through solid geometry until the end of the universe. So if we drew the universe, it would extrude it through to the end of it. It just makes going back and changing the sizes easier later. If we wanted to change this length, we don't have to worry about making that hole deeper. It'll automatically go to the end. So hit OK. And that's the hole in the end of it. Right, so that's extrude. We draw stuff, we extrude it. You can draw very complicated things, or you can draw simple things and you just extrude them. you know, use move, copy, rotate, trim, extend, all those things that we've learned in the past. Do it all here. Do it all as a sketch and then extrude it. So what we need to do now is 22 degrees off the top. So there's a chamfer button. Now, if I click a face, it's not allowing me to chamfer because I'm showing a chamfer of 5mm. We know this is a diameter of 6. So that's going to give us geometry that's probably going to destroy the world. So we have to change it. So let's just see what a 1mm chamfer does. Now, because I clicked the face, it's selected both of these sets of edges. I don't want that. I just want the outside edge. So you have to be a little bit careful if you want the edge, if you want the face, or if you want the other edge. Sometimes selecting the faces can make things really quick to select. Sometimes it can make it annoying. Like if I wanted to chamfer there and there, I can select the cylindrical face and it will select the edges. But I don't want that. I just want this. I don't want it to be equal distances. I want it to be distance and angle. I want my angle to be 22 degrees and I want my distance to be 5. If it does this and it doesn't generate properly, anywhere you see one of these double arrow buttons, just click it and it basically flips the dimensions over. So what it was trying to do, it was trying to go 5 this way instead of 5 this way. So that's the chamfer on the end. That's looking quite good. Now, there's another command that we use, not just extrude. Wait, really? Yeah. We can't just only extrude. Sometimes you have to, what's it called in this? It's called revolve. Sometimes it's called rotate. It's called revolve. Sometimes it's called spin or lathe. But it's called revolve in OnShape. And what that means is that you can draw a sketch and you can revolve it around a line. And then it will add or remove. Yeah, it's very boring. I know. I'm sorry. But there's no other way. So we need to put a revolve in that location. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn back on one of these faces, not that one, because this is where it gets quite there we go. This is where it gets quite important. I can't select one of these cylindrical faces to sketch on because it's not flat. Okay, so I need to select a flat face. Now that's why you have top, right, and front. We've done everything so far on the front. We've extruded away from the front and it's come this way. Now we want to draw something on the right plane. So I have to turn the right plane back on. So I'm going to sketch on this right plane and then I'm going to bring it normal to view and I'm going to zoom in. That's the wrong way around. So I'm just going to click this button a while. There we go. That's better. And I'm going to draw a circle. But yeah, I know, in the drawing it's an arc, but I'm going to draw a circle, okay? And I'm going to have this, I can't click on this line. Now, in 2D CAD, you would be able to highlight this line. But it's not, in 3D CAD, it's not a line, it's a curved surface. So this is where a lot of people run into trouble. Now, before we can sketch the circle, what we have to do is, we have to use a projected curve. So what we do is we click this button and we click this cylindrical face, and anywhere where there's an edge it gives us a line. Now as you can see, you turn it, we've got 2 lines in here. This is going to cause us problems because we don't want those lines to be real. We want them to be what we call construction. So I'm going to turn that feature off. I'm going to select both of these lines and I'm going to press the button next to it, which strangely enough says construction. Now those lines now turn into what we know as center lines, and basically what it means is they're ignored by the extruder as geometry. So let's go back straight to, why did it do that? Let's go back straight to it and let's see if we can draw a circle now. Magically enough, we can now select that line. Good. Now, for a revolve to take place, while I'm talking, I'll just put the dimension in. For a revolve to take place, you need more geometry in your sketch. You need another line to revolve whatever you're revolving around. That's 4 plus 1, that's 5. So I want to go from here to the center of there, 5. There we go. So it's a simple case of a line, And we handily have the origin here. If you didn't, you could do the convert thing again and convert one of these straighter lines into something usable. But we're just going to use the origin, and I'm just going to draw a line out. And I don't really care how long it is. I'm not even going to put a dimension on it because that's how I roll. Not everything needs a dimension. So what we've got, in fact, I'm going to delete that one because I don't need that one either. So what we've got is a circle on a construction line which is projected from this face, and a line from the middle. And that's it. So now what we want to do is we want to revolve. So we click the revolve button and we want to do a solid. We want to remove material because that's what we're going to do. And we want to select this circle. And now we've got a red box. It says revolve axis. Okay, so we'll select our line, and there you go. That's exactly what it does. So for revolves, you need a sketch and you need a line. That line can be many different things, but in our case, we sketched the line in. I'm just going to click OK, and that's it. And if I turn off this right, there is our finished part. And it was all created using extrudes, a chamfer, and a revolve. And that's pretty much it. That is absolutely it. There is another way you could have created this part, and what I'll do is I'll create it over here next to it. If I go back to the front plane, no, the top plane, was it the top plane? Yeah, and I do a sketch on the top plane. What I could have done, I'm not going to put any dimensions in here. What I could have done was I could have just revolved all of this in one go, and I'm going to quickly just show you how I could draw in that profile. I'm not going to dimension it because I don't want it to sit through that again. Right, there we go. There's the profile. I'm going to get rid of that because what I need is a circle. Do I need a circle? Yeah, I do need a circle. Why is that circle not looking round? It's because there we go. Excellent. Right, so I'm going to make that circle smaller. There we go. And I'm going to drag that line to there, and I'm going to use the trim tool. The trim tool in 3D CAD works a little different. In 2D CAD, you have to select the edges you want to trim to. In 3D CAD, it assumes you want to trim to every edge, so you don't have to select it. You just click the bits that you want to remove. Why is there a dot there? Weird. Anyway, so there's one sketch. Literally one sketch, and we can revolve that entire sketch around there and create the same part without the dimensions, of course, and then we can extrude a hole up the middle of it. I'll quickly do that. You can even extrude without having a sketch if you've got a face. So say I wanted to extrude that face, and I press extrude, it will assume that that circular edge is the sketch. If I press remove and then say through all and then say OK, there you go. So you could, whoops, you could revolve the entire thing in one go, or you can create it layer by layer by layer. There is no right or wrong way to do this. It's not based on how powerful your computer is, because this is OnShape. It runs on a phone. Really, it runs on a phone. Yeah, I've edited stuff on a phone. How sad's that? You can see we've created something here which has got a bit of a problem. We've extruded this hole, and it's completely obliterated the material that's within here. Oh dear. Now, this is 3D CAD. Why does it do that? And we can go in and fix things. We don't have to start again. We can go in and fix things. This, I mentioned before, is the model tree. We can take this rollback bar and literally roll it back to the first extrude. And then if we roll it down to the second extrude and then to the third, it'll basically show us how we've built what we've got on the screen. And as you can see, the sketches are grayed out. We can turn them on or we can turn them off. Let's just roll it down to the very end. So we have a problem with this extrude. It's not this extrude, it's this revolve. And this revolve is the child of this sketch, which is the parent of this revolve. Whoops. So if we want to change this revolve, we have to modify its parent, which is this sketch. So we right click the sketch and hit edit. And then we can simply just move this line further up, click OK. Oh, that hole got bigger. Did you see that? Now, when this happens, let's just go back to that sketch again. When this happens, what it means is, there you go. If I move this, you can see that moving as well. So there's some kind of relationship which has been created between either one of these points and this, or this length and this in the constraints. So if this kind of happens to you, don't worry about it. There's a couple of things you can do to get rid of it. It's this line. So I'm just going to delete that. It's not that line. I'm just going to delete the geometry and literally just draw it back in, because that's the simplest way. Sometimes you can mess with constraint errors for a long time, and they do get quite frustrating. Let's just move that down to about there. Let's move that up to there, and let's do that. There you go. So now we have this piece back and we have a small hole in. So that was it. That was pretty much extrudes and revolves, a little bit about the model tree, a little bit about editing, a little bit about rollback, the interface. Next time, what we're going to do is we're going to get a little bit more into this. We're going to talk about sweeps and lofts. They require more sketches for the same thing. But until then, please feel free to go away and register with OnShape. Somebody else needs to get spam emails like me, and use it. Just extrude stuff, revolve stuff. You don't need dimensions. You can try revolving or extruding this heat break from the 3D printer, from that drawing. You just saw us do it twice, and give it a go. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments. I'll try and answer them as best I can. And pretty much that's it for now. So until next time, I've been Steve. Thanks for listening.